Hi, my name is Morgan Sipsey, and we're going to be looking at culturally responsive teaching. Starting off, looking at just benefits of diversity in a workplace, you can see some of the characteristics are a variety of different perspectives, increased creativity, faster problem solving, higher innovation, better decision making, and more. And all of this is because of the different personalities and characteristics of a variety of workers within a workplace. And this same concept transfers over into the classroom as well. So a diverse mix of voices leads to better discussions, decisions, and outcomes for everyone. And this is something we really want to implement into our classroom. So culturally responsive teaching. CRT, maybe how you see it labeled in text or throughout this PowerPoint. Learning intentions for this are understanding what it means to be a culturally responsive teacher, identifying the impacts of culturally responsive teaching, and implementing strategies to become a culturally responsive teacher. What does it mean to be a culturally responsive teacher? So there's been a couple definitions, but one being a culturally responsive teaching is the incorporation of cultural backgrounds, experiences, and ethnic perspectives into a teaching method. In the teaching and learning process, previous academic knowledge and skills based on the student's frame of reference are linked. Teachers and students in a culturally diverse community each have a unique cultural perspective on the world. The cultural lens, as defined by Billings, is the way a person sees and understands the different cultures in society. So while that's a mouthful, we'll kind of dig deeper into what that is and what that is not. Many teachers think they are culturally responsive teachers, um, but what they feel is culturally responsive isn't necessarily the case, and that's just due to lack of understanding of its meaning. So a culturally responsive teacher is not just building relationships. It's not just celebrating the diversity or incorporating multicultural education. It's not just social justice education. Most teachers think that in order to be culturally responsive, you have to make the content related to African American or Latino background because they think it'll spark the interest of students, which will then allow students to be more motivated to participate. While those are great things to complement culturally responsive teaching, that's not the sole purpose. Mostly because they don't improve the learning capacity. So you can have students and you can think about that critical lens, but if they read 2 to 3 grade levels behind, social justice teaching isn't going to help. If you look at the data, you look at subgroups, and to know if you were a culturally responsive teacher would be if students of color, English language learners, economically disadvantaged learners, if they are learning. If they are not succeeding academically, then you might need to adjust your ways of being culturally responsive. And most times, becoming culturally responsive doesn't look like culture at all because it's good for all students. And if you notice the little image on this, it says the misconceptions of culturally responsive teaching, social justice, low self-esteem, classroom management. It's about hip hop. So those are definitely misconceptions that people have about this type of teaching. So why is being a culturally responsive teacher important? It increases student motivation and engagement, provides critical thinking and problem-solving skills, and promotes safety and security. So instead of having students engage in discussion, oftentimes students will want to gravitate towards those of the same nationality. Students prefer to meet up with friends from their ethnic group. And it's well known that the lack of openness that's what ends up leading to strong prejudice. So this type of cultural preference can automatically lead to students being classified according to their ethnicity rather than their individual abilities. So how do we make learning more culturally responsive? Some of these options are games. So games are a power strategy for cultural learning because it grasps students' attention, and without attention, we can't learn, retain, or understand the content. Making it social. Organizing learning so that students rely on one another can build on diversity. So with this, teachers have the power to mix up the groups of students that they would normally conform to. And that's kind of where I was headed on the last slide. You can make it social. This can be done in small groups, projects, collaborating, or just on dialogue, class discussion. But by making it social, you're mixing up what students would conform to. And with this, you can also make things competitive. It's a great way to increase students' attention and engagement levels. Storyfying it. The brain is wired to remember stories, and it uses that type of structure to make sense of the world. So diverse students and all students learn content more effectively through this story structure. This also allows for teachers to check to see if students have any misconceptions with the content being learned. So all of these games, making it social, turning it into a story, all of this can be done in a variety of ways, like small groups, the inquiry projects, dialogue, like classroom discussions. So a lot of play can go here and how we see fit. So can you make it fast and make it last? A lot of teachers find that they don't have the time to prepare to be a culturally responsive teacher. But using or picking some of the strategies that we just saw on the last slide should be something that we can make it fast and make it last. So with this, I want the intent to be to take something away and be able to go immediately back to the classroom and implement something small. Start small and build off of that.